probably a little different because I smoke right when I wake up for the last 20 years.
Oh, you're a pothead. You're a pothead.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Because you're like, it's different.
What's the difference? Well, I don't, maybe, I told my mom this, I think it was her fault. I think there's something chemically in me that reacts well. Well, maybe it's not her fault because it's in a lot of my family, but I think something in the brain, for some people, really, marijuana really
Expands it?
No, it makes them normal. It makes them at least okay, to deal with some things, in their life.
Right.
And for me, it's helped a lot and probably kept me out of a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
So this is a public service message about the benefits of smoking pot.
Well, that is true.
Well, I think
It
for
is
some
true.
people, chemically in their body, they have a protein or something that bonds
Absolutely.
with the THC or whatever chemicals you get when you smoke it, that makes them to be okay with stress or post-traumatic stress or whatever kind of things that they've
Right.
had to deal with in their lives, And sometimes marijuana just makes it okay, so you're okay. You don't.
Well, that's why it's medicinal. That's why
Yeah.
they sell it for medicinal purposes. That's why you can go to your doctor.
Yeah.
No, it's not a cure-all or
Sure
by
not.
all means,
For
but it does help. Just
What kind of trouble do you think it kept you out of? I'm curious.
out of jail, kept me out. I mean, when I was young, around 20, so 20 years ago, I was getting into all kinds of things. So, it took a couple of run-ins, with the law department. And then, I didn't want to go out anymore. I just wanted to, stay home, do artwork, paint, listen to music,
When did pot come into the picture?
Pot's always been in the picture.
So you were, through that whole thing, you were smoking weed.
Yes. Why did I chill out though, and
Yeah.
not smoke weed and? Well, that was probably just me as wanting to be a good person and not disappoint my dad anymore. I've not put him through any more grief.
Michael, you call Jessie a pothead, but don't you love weed? So what do you mean by pothead?
I mean, I think it's because he said that he's been doing it every day and wakes up grabbing a doobie habitually for 20 years.
Yeah.
That would justify the qualification of a pothead, I think.
Okay.
I mean, it's done. I mean, it's not done in any disrespect. I mean, it's a fact. He's a pothead. He was a pothead. I don't know if you are anymore.
No, I'm a pothead.
You still are? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So he's a pothead. So
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
So we could say hey, yeah, we know this guy, and we're writing and producing things with him, and he's a pothead.
I think a lot of people in my generation are potheads.
I think there's a lot of them too. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's why it's becoming illegal all across the country, because this generation,
People.
I don't know.
Want their
It's
pot.
it's in our blood. It's our ancestors
Look,
been doing it.
I know all
My
these
mom
people.
must have smoked when she was pregnant or something.
She smoked pot when she was
Yeah,
pregnant with
because
you.
it's in my
That's why you're a
DNA. It's in
pothead.
my blood.
You know what? I mean, I think my parents' generation, and you look back at the generations, and they all drank so much. They would cocktails, right? Booze. They're a bunch of fucking boozers.
Yeah.
And I don't quite see the difference. I see a difference in a positive way with pot. I think pot is expanding.
You just made me think of something. Now, if we could, as a society, have boozers with bars where people get so drunk, right? They go home and they beat their wives.
Yeah,
they
they
spend all their
puke all
money.
over- yeah.
Parlor, We could, I think we could handle a little guy smoking a little pot, man. If society could already handle alcohol, I think a little bit of pot
It
is
seems
not
like
gonna.
it's a kinder, gentler.
No one is fighting on
Recreational
pot,
drug.
all right? We want peace. We want love. We want to make the world a better place.
What generation are we talking about here? My generation. How old are you?
40.
40.
Generation X.
I'll be
Woohoo!
40 this year.
We're gonna have a party.
Pot party.
When's your birthday?
March 15th.
Wow.
Why the
So wouldn't you think
Pisces.
wouldn't you consider him a pothead?
Well, I
Is it
mean,
far-fetched to
the term pothead has negative connotations to me, but it was actually redeemed by this conversation because the explanation was pot good for the head. It's like the brain chemistry is such that the THC it helps. So pot head, in that sense, shouldn't be pejorative at all. It's kind of like clinical in a way.
Right. Like a talking head.
And what do you call yourself, Michael? Are you a pothead?
I wouldn't consider myself a pothead. I enjoy pot on an occasional basis, and I think the best of me comes out when maybe somebody would say that that's not so, but I think that my free soul comes out when I smoke pot. And so like I'll find myself being doofusy, being funny or goofy, but that's just who I am. Just
I don't think those are dumb, but we can.
Should we put them in again?
We'll decide. I think they need a little more heat.
Alrighty. Do you want butter on them?
No.
No butter on them?
No, they're
Southern
good plain.
man.
You know? Just,
What I think is really interesting, though, is that we have two totally different relationships to pop. Almost on the polarities. Like the infrequency, the rareness of it, the innocence of it, the like, I didn't even know that I wasn't breathing anything in, to the seasoned smoker who it really is part of the lifestyle.
the
Yeah.
pothead, if you
Well,
will.
do you like the way it makes you feel? Do you like how you feel on pot?
Totally, dude.
Do you feel like you need it, or
Oh, I don't need it, but it's inspirational.
so when do you smoke pot? Like once a month, once a week,
Yeah, maybe once a month. Yeah, I mean maybe.
Once a week.
Who knows?
once a week?
Occasional,
just whenever?
I'll say it's an occasional. It's not something that I think, on Saturday I'm going to smoke pot, or tonight when I get up, or tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and smoke pot.
Do you feel like you just do it for
mind
like,
expansion?
mind expansion?
Yeah. And just plus all the ideas that we have going on in our head, I need some kind of. It kind of inspires all that. I don't know.
Whereas you do it for what reason, Jesse?
Probably the same, right?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
To feel normal? If there's such a thing as feeling normal.
Yeah, I think I do, just to like, just so I don't go out of my mind, so I don't like stress out and kick a hole through the wall, and be like
I felt that, man. I felt that. Life.
When did you feel that? Did you feel that today?
I certainly throughout the day there are times where I feel like this life. Oh God.
It's weird when you think about it,
Yeah, and like we have some control over it, but then I just feel like you just don't have any control over it when it feels that strong, I think sometimes pot gets me to a place where I'm so elevated, that then when I start to come away from it, then I start thinking, oh wow, oh no, where is it going? It's like now I have to deal with the realities of just the harsh, cruel, tough city.
What happened with the parking spot?
Okay, so I drive it to this parking spot, which was mine. I told you this. I shouldn't
Yes.
recap. Okay, so I'm driving into my driveway of my parking lot at work, and so many times over the years we've had trouble with people parking in our spaces, and we finally got it under control. It's been months since people have been doing it, but I drive up, and there's some kid sitting in a car with his foot out the door, eating an apple, writing something in the car, and smoking and farting or whatever, in my spot. So I drive up, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to deal with this right now, you know? There's a bunch of open spaces. Why are you in my spot? Had to calm myself down. I'm like, why am I this? Why? Just be nice, you know? Take it easy. It's not the end of the world. Be nice. But, you know, the aggression is in me sometimes, right? In all of us, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, so the guy's there, and I say, excuse me, and he kind of looks back at me, doesn't do anything. Excuse me, that's my parking space. Has a little bit of intensity raised in there. Takes a second, looks back at me, puts his leg in the car, closes it, backs up into another one of our parking spaces. I was like, ugh. I could feel like the blood like flowing. So mad because he's giving me attitude for my space, my parking space, my goddamn parking space. So he backs up and I just couldn't let it go. I was seething, and I got out of the car and I said, "Are you here for Real Songs? Because that's our company." And he said, "No, I'm here for I'm waiting for a girl at the film school." And I go, "Okay, well, this is our parking lot and film school's over there." He goes, "Hey man, I'm not parking, I'm just loitering." I said, "Okay, you're not parking. You're an asshole." So, he was nasty to me. And so I went upstairs and I was just like, oh God. You know, I want to hit. It's like I can feel like what people must feel like when they want to hit somebody. I don't feel that very often, but I just was like, ugh. So I get on with my day and I try to go about things and calm down a little bit. It's about an hour later, one of the girls that works in our office comes up to me and she goes, Michael, I have this for you. She has this weird expression on her face. She goes, "I was just down by the parking lot and this guy came up to me and he said, 'Do you know the person whose car that is? I was just a real asshole to him and I'm just sorry.'" And she's like, "He's crying. Like he's telling me this story, he's crying. He's so sad. Can you tell him I'm so sorry?" He was writing a note to me that said, "Hi, I was a real asshole. No excuse. If I could make it up to you, please let me know. Here's my website." And I was like, what? That was kind of like redemption. It was kind of like,
That's an amazing story.
isn't that an amazing story? And
Wow.
I thought about it, and she repeated it. She was like dumbfounded. He was crying. He was literally crying while he was saying, "I was such an asshole to that guy," and all this to get this letter. And I was just thinking to myself, well, there is a higher being. There's an expansion of something.
There's hope.
There's hope. I just thought when I walked up from that experience, I thought, this kid's a fucking asshole. He's just like all these entitled. Anyway, and he turns out to have this epiphany, if that's what he had. I thought that was kind of nice.
That's an amazing story.
Maybe you talked some sense into him instead of smacking some sense into him.
Was that?
You talked some sense into him instead of smacking some sense into him.
I was probably a bit of an asshole myself when I told him, but I was mad. I was like, don't give me attitude,
Yeah.
So, but he turned out to, it switched him right. He was crying. I don't know why they're crying, Maybe.
You never know what someone else is going through,
Yeah. Maybe
he
that's
could
why
have
I was an
been in
asshole.
that parking spot, just pulled over and, going through some shit with some girl or something. He's, some other people
Most likely.
Yeah.
So, namaste.
Wow. That gives me some hope.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Especially given today was Obama's final press conference. Oh my God. I am freaking out, you guys.
It's so lovely
I
to
am
see.
freaking the fuck out.
It's gonna be great. You know why you're freaking out? But that's why it's great. Because the pushback. There's gonna be so much pushback now. It's gonna be the 60s all over again.
Let's hope.
The
Let's start a
women's rallies, people are pushing back. People are not going to accept this.
No, they're not.
Not in this day and age.
It's quite. This is quite a period in history.
It's comical now. I mean, enjoy the show.
Yeah.
That's what Michael was saying last week, Edelstein, but I have other thoughts on the matter.
Yeah.
Well, can someone turn the camera on Lauren?
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the matter?
I am horrified. I mean, I was driving to an audition, listening to the press conference, and I was like, oh my effing God, I need to turn this down right now because I can't go and sell Omaha steaks with like mascara down my face. I mean, I'm horrified. I am horrified. I have no other word for it. I'm thinking it's a horror movie, and I am going to... Somebody wake me up. Hello? Hello up there? Like, I want to get out. I'm like Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine. I want to get out. Stop. Like, stop. It's a dream. I hear you.
It's crazy.
Like I've had those dreams where you wake up and you're like I've had the dream where in the dream I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming. I need to wake up. And then I wake up and then somehow I realize I'm dreaming, but I don't wake up. That's the trippiest fucking thing.
I dig what you're saying.
So, I don't know. We're not waking up.
We're not waking up, I know.
And I love Obama. He's like,
I love him.
I love how like cool, calm, and collected he is. He's like, yeah, well, you know, I just feel like he feels like he's sitting on this edge of like, because the reporters try to get him too. They're like, oh, what do you think about the 50 Democrats who aren't going to the inauguration? What do you think about the transfer of power? Transfer of power bullshit. Them skipping out the inauguration is not about them not participating in this transfer of power. Them, you know what would have been not participating in the transfer of power? All those fucking Trumpers who said they were gonna get their guns and fucking go riot and start a revolution. That's what not participating in the transfer of power is. These Democrats who don't want to go to the inauguration are protesting all of his cabinet members, which are beyond horrifying. They're protesting the fact that Trump has said he will deport kids, dreamers. They're protesting the fact that he wants a Muslim registry, or at least he campaigned on that, whether he wants it or not. And they're protesting the fact that he hasn't divested his business interests, which is, I mean, listening to the cabinet members talk about how they're divesting their, I just want to, again, vomit.
Right.
Like, I mean, all right, so wow, I could go on for a long time.
Well, I think it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, we're clearly
Over
still
time.
unpacking this. I was supposed to come back from my New Year's and my holidays. Remember, I was supposed to come back we did the Joshua Tree ritual. Oh, but I will talk about the tarot reading. That was pretty cool on Diary of a Vermont Girl. I think I'll save it for that one. But I am still, Joshua Tree was amazing, but I'm not healed, y'all. I am not healed. I got a long way to go for this fucking healing to fucking take place or sink in or whatever the fuck. I'm waiting.
You're talking about Trump, the healing from the Trump experience?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's going to take, there will be no healing.
Oh boy. Oh my God. All right.
Should I pause this?
Yeah. Should we do the intro?